That is a great band from Mississauga, Ontario, Canada. Give it up one more time for the Dreamboats. That's what you call entertainment.
Liverpool. I can't believe it's been 5 years. That's crazy.
Playing Beatles songs was our common ground in the beginning stages of the band, and it kind of started from this book right here, the Beatles chord songbook, and as you can tell, it's been through hell and back.
We used to say, imagine if we played the Cavern Club, and then as we performed more, it kind of morphed into, we gotta play the Cavern Club.
Well, when I joined the band, going to the Cavern Club and playing in Liverpool was already a given.
It pretty much was a lifelong dream of the band. We're pretty big Beatles fans.
And the idea just seemed to come about and seemed like it was something we can put into reality.
There was also a festival we heard that was going on down there.
A friend of mine that I was playing in another band with had told me about this festival over there called the International Pop Overthrow Festival. We reached out to the organizer.
It took a little bit of convincing on our part. They looked into us and they're like, are these guys even an original band?
We just had our first release and we were going to be releasing an EP after that.
Johnny had to type this big email to the guy.
We have original stuff that we would be showcasing there, so he agreed, and that's how we got booked.
The journey to Liverpool was a very easy, smooth one.
I was excited, personally. For me, that was the first time that I'd be traveling overseas and playing music.
Yeah, there was some excitement, some nervousness. It was very busy when we went out. It was just the three of us, because Johnny had already gotten there with his other band.
I was already in Europe from another tour with another band.
It was exciting. It was awesome. It was weird not having Johnny with us because he was the guy that did a lot of the coordination for the tour. One of the things I remember is that we had to take a train from Manchester to Liverpool.
I flew from Spain right into Liverpool to meet the guys. I took a cab to the hotel.
The hotel was very interesting.
It was kind of in this industrial part of town.
Like grimy industrial area. Down by the Mersey River. You've got football-sized rats running around.
It was 1 bedroom, 4 beds, shared bathroom down the hall.
Are there towels?
No.
And it got a little smelly because we ate in there.
And every time we'd come back to the room, it just smelled like decaying hummus mixed with like wet towel.
Just the whole room smelled like pepperoni sticks and hummus. Officially, like when you walk in the room, that smell got labeled as the chamber.
Definitely, I like to think that experience and the accommodations of us all being together just tightened up the brotherhood that we have together that is really stuck till this day.
We really wanted to get a rehearsal in before these performances.
Especially at the time, we were debuting a lot of new songs to people. So a little nerve-wracking, but thank God for that rehearsal space.
So we went across the street and we had it on Google Maps. We're trying to look for our rehearsal space. Finally, we realized the rehearsal space is right across the street from our hotel.
Dreamboats jam space here in Liverpool. Our room is literally that window.
It was definitely a nice, pretty grungy rehearsal space, but it was the best vibe.
So yeah, the first night in town, we kind of just went out on the town and thought we would take in the sights a little bit and go grab a couple beers at the Cavern Club.
So we're in this cabbie. There was kind of this weird cab ride, and then drops us off downtown, and you're on this cobblestone street. You've got bars and restaurants, and all of a sudden you come to it. There's the Cavern Club.
The first impressions I had of the Cavern Club was a very welcoming feeling.
It's like a bunker. You just go around
Flight after flight after flight after flight of stairs downstairs. It's in the basement.
You walk in, you turn to the left, and there's the iconic Beatles stage.
I thought it was a really lovely place. There was always good music playing, good people. All the Beatle lore on the walls was really cool to look at, and it was very exciting.
To be in that presence of all these bands that had performed in that space is crazy.
So we ended up catching some music, meeting some people, having some drinks at the bar and stuff. So it was pretty fun.
It just kind of gets your heart racing, I guess, a little bit, just to know that we're playing here tomorrow. We were booked for 2 shows at the International Pop Overthrow Festival. One on the Friday, one on the Saturday.
We had a very prime slot of like 10 p.m. on a Friday night. I don't know how that worked out.
Yeah, we were in our hotel room, I remember before, getting suited up.
Man, I remember we didn't have an iron.
We were literally using the radiator in the shared bathroom to try and press our suits.
Draping our suits over top of the rad.
We had this bottle of whiskey that we were kind of passing around, and we had called a cab.
Yeah, a lot of people were drinking that night, I remember that.
We got in the cab and we were so excited, kind of really anxious to get there.
Off to the Cavern Club.
It's been a long time coming.
On at 10:15. Playing where our heroes played.
It was almost
Jerry the Pacemaker.
I think it's actually setting in as like a real moment right now for us, as we never thought this would ever happen, and now it's happening.
That's it. Let's go.
It was great. The place was packed. You know, when people tour for the first time, sometimes you can play to an empty club. Thankfully for the IPO festival, they had a really, really awesome built-in crowd. I was so thankful that we got to play to the amount of people that we got to play to.
Well, back room we go.
Before the show, I just kind of remember we were backstage and we had a lot of beers flowing.
Yeah, it was a bit of a party in the back room.
We went on the stage, definitely feeling a bit of the effects of the beer and alcohol we had.
See you guys on stage.
International, they've come a long way to play for you, all the way from the great city of Mississauga, Canada. How about that? So without further ado, would you please give a huge welcome to the Dreamboats?
We had this kind of supportive crowd right off the bat, and that was mainly because there was a bunch of Canadians hanging at the front and that were just making a lot of noise.
And they just went nuts, like we were their favorite band. It was like Dreamboats mania.
Everybody was having a good time. The audience was great. It was a lot of fun.
This is the place where the Beatles played. It was an amazing experience. That's how I felt when it came to playing the Cavern Club for the first time.
Holy shit! Ah! Yeah!
I remember we were walking around town after the show, just feeling on top of the world.
I'm pretty sure we didn't get to bed at a reasonable time. I can guarantee that. So the second day, this is where we were playing the iconic classic stage.
We had to get up very early. I think we got up around 9, maybe earlier, to go and get ready.
We didn't really know what to expect.
We just thought that we were going to be playing this 12 p.m. slot in the afternoon and no one was going to be there.
It was early in the day, so we weren't sure how big a turnout it would be. But it turned out to be great.
And the venue is just rammed on the front stage, from the front stage.
As soon as we walked in, we saw all those people there. We were just ready to go. So we went on the stage, and it was amazing.
The response that we received was just an amazing one.
I felt so good being on that stage and just really trying to take moments during that set to take it all in.
I remember looking over at Chris at one moment and just like having that, like, you look out, and I looked at him and he looked at me and we're like, you know, are we really playing on this stage right now?
It went by pretty fast.
We just threw it all down and we left no prisoners. But with that being said, I could have literally rang out my shirt after the set. After the show, we did some of the typical touristy things.
We were all in our suits. I don't know what we were thinking, but it was amazing. We were drawing a lot of attention to ourselves.
We ended up down by the Mersey River and just taking some pictures.
We saw a statue of, Liverpool's Billy Fury.
We walked all the way back to our hotel just feeling great. We ended up going out that night. After our show, we had a few days off before the rest of our tour in Europe. I had a buddy, a tattoo artist that lives in Liverpool named Paul. He wanted to take us out on the Sunday.
And we had a good little pub crawl. We went out, partied.
It was funny. Small fact is Johnny and I were going to get liverbird tattoos from his friend. That was a tattoo artist.
Liverbird is it's the bird of Liverpool. And we agreed to this in a bit of a drunken stupor. So we were all fired up.
I was going to get one. Johnny was going to get one. Johnny backed out.
The next morning came, I woke up, I'm like, okay, I'm not getting a liverbird tattoo on my arm and coming home with this liverbird tattoo.
And because Johnny backed out, I backed out of my tattoo.
So we really wanted to do the Beatles tour.
You know, visiting Eleanor Rigby's gravesite or the Strawberry Fields and seeing where our heroes grew up, and also doing the Beatles Museum.
My buddy Paul had said that he knew a cab driver who would take us around all day for kind of a flat fee and bring us to all the Beatles spots. So we said, sure.
But he apparently proved to not be a Beatles fan. As a matter of fact, he didn't really like the Beatles. He was more into Motorhead.
We're like, wait, what? Why are we on this tour with you and you don't even like the Beatles?
He knew where all the spots were, but he didn't really know the history or anything. We were kind of following the Magical Mystery Tour bus, and then there we were in a black cab with this rocker dude. So we were kind of just going from spot to spot, kind of informing him about some of the Beatles lore.
We were over at George Harrison's house. We had our hand on the door of George Harrison's house, and we're like taking a picture, like we're all, you know, on his door.
Only for people to tell us, actually, it's that house right there.
But it was great. We had a lot of fun bombing around.
It was amazing.
Then it was the final day.
We were going to be taking a flight from the UK to Amsterdam.
One of Paul's other friends said he would take us to the airport, but he was in a tiny car, and we had all this luggage and guitars. I don't know how we managed to squeeze into this car, but we were so grateful for the ride to the airport.
You know, we got some footage of us getting on the flight and taking off from Liverpool. So yeah, it was kind of an emotional day.
Not too bad.
You know, it was hashtag dream come true for the Dreamboats. It was a success. We had a great time. We had 2 really successful shows at the Cavern Club. It was really, an emotional thing playing over there.
It was just a treat to play the Cavern and hang around Liverpool and get all like Beatles'd out, you know. But it was a really cool turning point for the band, touring, especially in that area. So
It's given us hope as well to dream big with this band and know that whatever goals we set, we can achieve them.
Definitely a feeling you don't get every day, and a chance to feel closer to our heroes and how they developed and all those things. So it was definitely a feeling of a graduation to some sorts, and I can't wait till the one day we get to go back and rock out the Cavern Club once again.